Welcome to Film Juice. I'm Mike, and this is...
Hi, I'm John.
And...
Abby.
And we are going to talk about movies that are horror movies because it's almost Halloween. A Halloween that no one will enjoy. So, I don't know, who wants to go first? We each watched 2 movies. So we're gonna try to cut it kind of short at 10 minutes each, but we'll see what we can do.
So this one, with these, we decided just to go with the same movies.
Okay.
So we got to see the Purge, Anarchy.
Okay.
And the movie Scream. And so, let's see, what would you want to start with?
We can start with the Purge. Well, we saw the first Purge and Purge Anarchy.
Yeah, we did see them relatively within the past few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, you want to talk about the first Purge then?
Sure.
Okay. You go ahead and start with that one then.
Okay. So I guess they're not like Halloween movies, but they're definitely suspense.
Well, yeah, they're horror movies, kind of.
Horror films.
They're Wikipedia lists them as action horror film.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's how it describes it.
Yeah, and there's 4 or 5 of them out, and we've seen all of them.
And a TV series.
I'm sorry?
There's a TV series as well.
Oh, you know what? I've never actually watched that.
Same.
I think it's canceled, but I think it went for 2 seasons.
Ah, man, now I gotta watch it. Because I really like the Purge movies. They're creepy.
I like the ones that I've seen I've liked.
I feel like the further it gets in to the movies, the better they get, because it's interesting. I think Jonathan was saying he liked the second one the most.
Yeah, so far that's the one I really actually...
I like that one too a lot.
But
the
after
politics
watching it recently, I gotta say I still like the first one the best so far.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
If the first one had been just one movie, I think it would have been even better. But they built a franchise around it, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess for anybody listening, the Purge is kind of like the government has this holiday that they call, and the crime rate has gone down dramatically.
The holiday is called Purge, the Purge, right? Or just...
Yeah. And so, but yeah, crime's gone down dramatically, and the goal is that there is one night that citizens can go out for 12 hours, and all crime is legal. I think in the second movie, it talks about class 4 weapons, anything
beneath below class 4 and below
you can
are
use
legal.
those.
Yeah.
So anything above class 4.
Whatever that means. I'm not sure what that means, but
yeah, we would have to look that up. But yeah, so basically including murder. So you could rob, kill.
And they talk about it. There's some kind of, if you haven't seen it yet, any of them yet, there's this kind of religious kind of undertones attached to the holiday as well, about how, or some people see it that way at least, where it's their kind of, some people see it as a duty as well, it's their duty to purge or something like that, and
because the crime is so low throughout the year.
And some people just see it as a release of all their anger and hatred.
Some see it as killing off the poor. It's the government's way of
yeah. Isn't that kind of how the government sees it in those movies?
Yeah, it gets more and more. I guess as it goes on, it kind of through each movie, it kind of uncovers some kind of conspiracy.
Yeah, a perspective.
Yeah,
an individual story. or stories?
So the first one, actually, that's a good point. So the first Purge, it was made in 2013. That's the one where it actually sticks on one family, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, he's the dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and so he's things happen where they end up bringing someone in who's running away from a group that's trying to kill him.
Yeah, the son.
The son lets him into the house that's all barricaded and everything, and it's just like armor.
The security system.
Yeah. And so he opens the security system, lets the guy in, and so there's this group who wants to basically
purge. They were going to purge him.
Yeah, they're going to kill him, but he's hiding in their house, in Ethan Hawke's family's house, and there's just, and it kind of unravels, the events unravel there, but it takes place there in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets pretty. I thought it was okay.
I liked it more. I feel like the second one got a little.
It gets a little overblown too quick.
Yeah, like the second one, there's a lot happening. Like, okay, one, there's that couple who is like shopping like an hour before. For me, that seems more careless than like the little kid.
Were careless, yeah.
Like the first movie, it was more of him feeling that the purge was wrong and he wanted to help save somebody's life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that made more sense than.
And they're very conscious and aware of it. And as opposed to the second one, it was almost like it almost was too normal for everyone, right? And
it's like, why are you out an hour before?
Yeah, like it was just kind of.
Like, I'd rather starve for the night than like go to the grocery store right before.
Are you that hungry?
Yeah, like like.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does have some cool things, There's.
I will say, the acting is good in both of them, though, too.
The acting is good in both.
I do like that the second one has a little more action because.
Oh yeah.
You're following.
That's the one where it's like about the different gangs, right, that have formed within an hour, or whatever. Is that where they're like terrorizing like a city?
Yeah, so there's this group that's basically picking up people off the street, but they're not actually purging them. They're just giving them to the wealthy to get money.
Yeah.
So
nice. Oh, they're picking up poor people.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And then there are just random people they see, like
just anybody off the street.
Yeah.
So they can
give them to these rich people to sell them
on and
yeah.
And then there's the group that's like the government because they have like surveillance cameras.
They got like it's like a mercenary group or something.
They do have armor, and it's kind of it seems like they may be part of the government, but they're unsure.
Yeah, it never really
it's not really revealed. But
it is cool though because you get further in each movie, and like I think it was the last one that came out that kind of talks about the very first purge.
That's right. Yeah.
And like how a lot of the society didn't want to partake in it, so they had like some government officials go out to make it happen. So I mean,
it's kind of interesting too, like how they get very the Purge Anarchy gets, I think, even more political than the first one. I would say, right?
Yeah, because there's this group. I forget what the guy's name is, but they're.
Yeah, there's like a resistance group as well
there you go.
that comes out throughout the movie, and so it does follow 5 characters, and they all kind of end up together that and the night of the purge, and it's pretty neat. Like the different characters, I think there's Frank Grillo, who plays a dad who.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
He wants. I don't want to give it away if no one's seen it yet, but he has.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
He does have the most interesting story.
Yeah.
He's like this, like.
He has a strong motivation, and you actually empathize, I think, with him the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it makes it interesting because it almost seems like that Purge would be, obviously wrong, but he's a character where you kind of, in this one, you kind of can't help but think maybe, you just can't help but empathize with him.
Mhm.
But it does get a little more political in this one. There's the guy from the resistance. He's talking about how, the government's trying to take out the poor, and
Yeah.
those are the minorities, and so it almost seems really relevant, honestly, even more so today than I think probably when it came out.
Weird thing.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. So we watched the first one. This is weird. Weird. We watched the first one I want to say a month ago.
Yeah, probably around a month ago.
I've seen all of them though, when they came out. But watching it again, in the beginning of the first Purge, it kind of lists the years.
Oh yeah.
And it's so weird because the year that it takes off in is 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
It was weird, and there's all these clips of riots going on. And then in the second
this movie was made in 2013, and so we were thinking of all the stuff that's going on right now with the riot.
Yeah.
And then in the second movie, there's a clip with the president, right? His
name is Donald something.
Donald T. It doesn't say, but there's a clip. And I was like, what the heck? This is weird.
Yeah.
There's some subliminal.
This is 2014. So I don't even.
I'm telling you, some Simpsons stuff going on here.
Yeah, there's some Marge and Chains episode of The Simpsons stuff.
Yeah. It's strange. So I'm curious, the third, now I want to finish.
Yeah, that's right. The new founding father, his name is what they call him, Donald Talbot. That was his name.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's a little too close.
Yeah.
Weird. Telling you, people are in.
And this is 2014, yeah, the Purge Anarchy. So, but it's yeah. I remember actually I was thinking about my mindset at the time because we did see this I think in theaters too, right?
This
Purge
one
Anarchy.
we did see in the theaters.
And I remember at the time I was like, wow, yeah, I mean that's pretty bad, but now thinking about it now, I'm just like, what the heck? This is connecting so much.
I'm curious.
It almost seems like it was made this year or something,
Mm-hmm. It does.
So.
And I think this right here, I think the year in the second movie was 2023.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no.
Exactly right. Interesting thing is Michael Bay produced this film too.
Doesn't sound like he did, but maybe he didn't watch it.
I have no idea.
There was no giant transformer that popped up in the middle of it.
I know, right? Yeah. So yeah, those are the Purge movies. I don't know if you want to do a few or another movie, Mike.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go back and forth?
Yeah, let's just go back and forth.
Okay. I watched. Let's see, which one should I do first? I'm gonna do The Changeling first. Okay, The Changeling's from 1980, and I made notes because a lot of it kind of just went over my head. It's about a guy that it's actually a pretty startling opening to the movie. George C. Scott, which is the actor that I believe played Patton in the movie Patton. He is in a wreck with his wife and his daughter. He goes out to a payphone to go call the police, and here comes a truck, hits them, and then another truck runs over both cars, kills them. And so he's alone, and he goes to a town. This isn't immediately after, but he's a teacher of music composition, and he plays the piano, and he finds a house in this small town, and He's led to believe it's a beautiful house and it's really nice, and it actually has a piano in it. And so he goes and he stays there, and basically he starts. It's a haunted house. It's a haunted house, and I wish I could say more than that. But it's very slow. It's got like, if you watch The Exorcist, and it's like the entire movie, The Exorcist is a movie where everything is very slow, and then it just ramps up right back at the end. And that's what happens with this movie, because not much happens. It feels like a mystery movie. He starts seeing things around the house. Things start moving on their own, and it turns out there's some kid died in a hidden room. It's just a tapestry of horrible things have happened at that house, and it's a nice, really nice looking movie for being in 1980. There's some like really nice like single shots that go around, and
Is it kind of paranormal?
it is completely paranormal. Yeah, like there's no like somebody's pulling the strings or anything. It's just ghosts, basically. That's what it comes down to.
Funny, because the actor George C. Scott, I know he was in one of the Christmas Carol movies.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, I like the Christmas Carol movie that he's in, actually. It's funny because he's, in Christmas Carol, in 1984 version, he's haunted by ghosts.
Oh wow, he must like that shit.
I know.
He finds like a hidden room. Like he's gradually going crazy by all this stuff, right? And no one will listen to him. There's a realtor that sold him the house, and then she's like, "I'm sorry, I sold you this house. I knew there was something wrong with it." And so she becomes like his sidekick throughout the movie. And he goes into the hidden room, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know this room was here." He's like, "There's something underneath the floorboards." So he tears up the floor. He starts digging through the dirt. He finds a skeleton. And so she's like, "We need to call the police." The police arrest him, suspecting some kind of murder, even though he's only been there for like a couple of weeks. And the skeleton it's not going to decompose a skeleton that fast, right? To like a bleach white skeleton. But they arrest him, and eventually his name's cleared and stuff. But he goes back to the house, and this metal is like pushed through the ground to him, and he gets it, and it's like a little like Boy Scout or something metal that has the name of a local politician on it. But like, I mean, the last name of him, it's like Joseph McMillan or some shit, and that's the name of the politician. So he tries to interrupt one of the politicians, like he's boarding like a plane or something, and he's like, "Do you know anything about this?" And then all these security guards like attack him, and he gets put in jail again. Basically, he goes crazy because of it.
So it's basically the ghosts are making him insane.
Yeah, like, well, everyone else around him also is making him feel insane. So there's not a whole lot to the movie. But I mean, that's probably the worst. He could have just gone to the police. Like, take the medal to the police and say, hey, I found this in a room in the house that I'm staying at, and it's a missing child. Do you want to go look for, I also found a skeleton. But then no one ever asks him, why were you digging in the ground? But, yeah, I mean, it's not a great look for him to be digging in the ground for what, and then he finds a skeleton, and then he tells the police, I dug in the ground and found a skeleton. But he was, I mean, there's no reason to do that unless there's a problem with the floor, but he took out all the floorboards. So, I mean, what does that look like? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he could have been smarter too. Not at all.
No. But yeah, they eventually wind up releasing the kid's soul or whatever, and I don't know, it's filmed like it's a really good movie. I think the appeal of it is all of the cinematography and the photography and just the way it's really a good looking movie.
It looks like creepy.
Yeah,
it looks like a classic haunted house, but like the
it does
classic house.
Yeah, like it's like I'm not sure where it took place, but it looks like a Victorian home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it almost looks like? Have you ever seen The Rose?
Mm-mm.
No.
That's another creepy movie. Like, the outside of that house looks a lot like it. I feel like that house just looks like a famous house that maybe some multiple movies have been shot in front of.
Oh, it's probably one of those, like the X-Men house.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some moments that were creepy. Like, randomly things would fly into other things, but it didn't feel that scary. It wasn't, I made a mistake in choosing this. It's a, if you have the patience for it, it's a good drama, I think. Because the guy's at the same time dealing with the death of his wife and daughter. And then when he immediately moves into this house where he has to deal with the death of somebody else's kid. And the kid is talking to him. And I think there's some voices that he hears, crying for help and stuff.
Sorry?
The voices are crying for help.
Yeah.
Inside the house.
So there was almost some kind of purpose for what he went through to help.
Yeah. There's a nice little parallel there.
Gotcha.
That helps him. It's like a terrible kind of therapy where your loved one dies and here comes some dead person ghost to try to heal you, but they just frighten you instead.
Okay.
So yeah, but overall, I would recommend it as a good movie. It's just, you have to have the patience of someone who likes The Exorcist, because The Exorcist is kind of boring for about 90 minutes. You got to deal with all this drama being explained, and
gotcha.
They were, so, I mean, it's a good movie. Maybe not a Halloween movie. Maybe I screwed that up. John.
No, I don't think so, man. It's there's so many.
No, John, I screwed it up.
No, Mike, no.
No, I screwed it up.
There's so many, like, under the umbrella of horror. There's so many different
subgenres.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads me, onto the next movie, which is known as a slasher. Slasher film. Scream from 1996.
Scream. I liked it.
Yeah, it was it's been a while since both of us have seen it.
Well, I mean,
have you ever seen it like all the way through?
No.
Apart from today?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw any pieces of this movie was like a year ago with you. So it was never something I saw as a kid. Because I remember the first time I started watching it, it was kind of like mesmerizing. I was like, what's going on? Like, this is what Scream is? And so getting to finish the whole movie was cool. It's kind of sad I knew, like, the ending.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, I hadn't finished it all the way through. But I remember the first time we saw it, even though we missed some of the beginning, like, I really had no idea who it was.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't suspecting.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. You can say who it was. It's It's 20 years old.
Yeah. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. It was.
Well, her boyfriend's friend, like the two guys. Yeah.
Matthew Lillard and.
They did a great job of being like psychopath killers. The other, what is his name? Skeet Ulrich. Yeah.
Skeet Ulrich, the wannabe Johnny Depp.
Well, the cool thing is, like, I didn't realize he was in this movie, and I'm a huge fan of Riverdale, the show. And
okay.
He's like the main dad. He's one of the. He's the dad of one of the main characters.
God, he's playing dads now.
he's part of the gang, right?
Yeah, he's a part of the Serpents.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually he like becomes a sheriff, but he is a part of a pretty like hardcore gang. But
there was a horror element to that show. I don't know if there's still.
Oh yeah, there is.
Oh, I'm aware, but
yeah, there's murder.
What the hell?
Or there's some like kind of some witchcrafty things, but it was kind of cool to see him like young. Yeah, and I was like, whoa, no wonder they picked him for Riverdale. But I really liked the movie. I think it's a good ultimate classic, especially if you're somebody like me who has never seen it. Like it's
it's a great film to rediscover. I think now for if if someone hasn't seen it, I think it's a good. I think it's also a good like movie night movie.
Yeah.
You have a couple friends over or whatever, and it's something that I think you can laugh at. You can kind of relate to. You can kind of look back in the 90s, how some things were back then, and
so cool
remember
to see
some stuff and
Drew Barrymore.
some nostalgia there.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
And then also, I mean, it's interesting. Like I like the movie too because it's like a smart. In some ways, it's like a smart kind of slasher film in that
it's like a parody. Yeah,
exactly. And you get the humor of throughout the movie. They're kind of spelling out typical horror film plots.
Yeah, that's something he did. Wes Craven, the director, that's what he did with Freddy's New Nightmare when he made the original movie into a movie that this movie that he's making is based on, but also it stars the original actress, and then the original movie becomes like a real thing, which becomes confusing after a minute.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's my favorite one, and Nobody likes it. But I thought that was clever, at least, if not smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like how it, it manages to kind of, like you say, like be a parody to slasher horror films.
Yeah, just in general.
And still kind of bring you into the story and
yeah,
be entertaining on one hand, but also be there are moments where you do get scared. Like there are some scary moments and some
there's some scares in there.
And yeah.
I was telling Jonathan, like, one of the things that I greatly appreciated was, I feel like it wasn't distracting the women.
Oh, yeah.
Shows, like, you didn't see...
Their wardrobe.
Yeah, you didn't see cleavage once, and I feel like that's so stereotypical.
No, that's pretty good, though.
Like,
yeah, and it was still a good movie.
And it was still a good movie. They were still, like, pretty women, but they didn't have to, like, stoop to that level.
Right.
Because a lot of horror films do that. So, but I was like, okay. That got, like, some golden stars for me.
Yeah.
From a female's perspective. I was
well, really, I mean, no movie ever needs that. Me and Jonathan were talking about that the other day. We were talking about TV shows. Like, the more risque ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And how, like, it kind of dulls you once they start, like, inserting sex scenes when you don't really need one. Like, show them once in bed, for a second, and that's it. I get it. I know what happened. You don't need sex to... Like, what are you trying to stimulate exactly out of the audience? Like, what... Is it fright or is it horniness? Like, what do you want people to feel, and then they feel both, and they become serial killers? Like,
I think it's so strange too, like how some horror films, like they go to the extreme on both, like the blood and the sexualization.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Is like, it's so odd.
It is odd. Yeah, it's very odd to me too. Like, but they even bring that up a little bit too in the film.
Yeah, they're like, number 1, don't have sex.
Oh, don't have sex.
Number 2, don't drink and do drugs. Number 3, don't say, I'll be back. I'll be right back.
That's the way to survive.
Those are the people that die. Yeah.
It's so funny because at the end he comes in, he's like, I'm so glad I'm a virgin.
Oh, yeah. Jamie Kennedy, he was some good comic relief in the film. There's so many good actors in this film too.
There are.
Drew Barrymore, Jamie Kennedy, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox.
It's just a classic.
Matthew Lillard. Yeah, there's just so many like 90s actors, actresses. Rose McGowan. There was even, what's his name? Henry Franklin Winkler.
Oh, yeah.
As the principal. Wes Craven does a cameo, which is funny, as Freddy Krueger. Did you see that? You remember that, Mike?
I don't.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's Halloween, it's the season of Halloween.
Okay.
He's dressed up as Freddy Krueger. Which I thought was funny. But yeah, good acting. The script's actually pretty good. There are some things that are dated. Like, for instance, like cell phones were really brand new at the time. So you kind of, it's kind of interesting.
What do you mean they didn't have like an iPhone?
Yeah, they had the big old brick phones, and some of them had like little black flip phones type thing.
So they didn't have iPhones?
Nope, no iPhones. You can believe that.
So how do they move things around the screen?
How do they move stuff on the screen?
They didn't, Mike, because they didn't have a screen. Hello.
I don't get what you're saying, man.
Come on, Mike. You grew up in the 90s.
No, I was born in 2000.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I was born in 1970. But these phones you speak of that had no touch screens, you know, did they have buttons at least?
They did have buttons for numbers. Oh, and the music was actually pretty good in this movie too, actually.
No, Scream 3 had the best soundtrack. What if?
And this was 96, so I thought that was an interesting time. I think that was...
No, it was Clinton.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's a good movie. Definitely recommend it, especially for a movie night. Good.
Sure.
Couple of scares, entertaining.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I especially liked. I remember seeing it in the theater.
Oh wow!
Beginning of with Drew Barrymore, and he doesn't slit her throat, but he does slit her vocal cords. So she sees her mom and dad pulling in, and she's trying to scream, but she can't.
Yeah.
That's really horrible.
Yeah.
But that's a really good, like, scary scene. Like, that's terrible. No, the movie holds up, I think. I mean, if they're already making a Scream 5, and they made a Scream series recently, which is canceled as well. I mean,
I've not seen that yet either.
I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't really feel the desire to either. Apparently it's on Netflix.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the whole series now.
Yeah, actually, yeah. This movie did like, we enjoyed it to where we want to see the
rest.
Yeah, the sequels.
I wouldn't mind seeing the 5th one if there is one.
Yeah, apparently it's in the works.
Oh, it hasn't been filmed yet?
I don't think so. It's due to come out in 2022.
Dang.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So we'll all be dead.
Neve Campbell to make an appearance, and apparently it's supposed to, she's supposed to appear in it, but there's supposed to be like a whole new kind of generation.
It's gonna pass the torch, basically.
Yeah, that's what.
So she's gonna die, and then someone's gonna be like, "Who killed Neve Campbell?" And she was the star of the series, and everyone's like, "Oh no, well, we're gonna look into it. We're teenagers and detectives."
Scooby-Doo.
Who's Ghostface?
But what do we got next?
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right, so I watched The Happening. And I've watched it before piecemeal, and I hated it. This time I was actually I liked it a lot. But it's like, let me look at my copious notes.
Wow, I haven't heard this movie title in forever. Have you seen it?
It's been a long time, but yeah, I've
Oh,
seen it.
I'm trying to think. Did I see this in theaters or was
I
it?
think I did.
Yes,
2008.
I did too. I feel like it was. I saw it in the dollar theaters. Oh, I'm so glad you picked this movie because I forgot about it. Honestly.
Yeah,
It is a horror movie, but it's an M. Night Shyamalan
okay.
movie, which I realized his biggest influence is Alfred Hitchcock.
Mm.
So it's got like a Final Destination vibe, where you're just interested in seeing how bad the next death is. So like it begins in a park in Central Park in New York. There's mysterious wind, which wind isn't very mysterious. There's just wind. And this girl's talking to her friend on a bench. Her friend stops talking and takes out like the pin from her hair and stabs herself in her neck. And it's not really that jarring, but it does start like among the government. All these people in that park started killing themselves in various ways. And
This was one of the movies, I think, to do that, right? Or like at least recent.
To do what?
To where they like something's happening that are causing people to kill themselves. Because there was a few horror movies that started coming out like that.
The Bird Box.
Like the Bird Box.
Oh, Bird Box was one, yeah.
That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the Bird Box kind of took some ideas from here.
Probably, yeah.
Did
you see like what the Bird Box monsters were supposed to be?
No, we didn't make it that far.
I watched the whole thing and I looked it up later, and apparently the Bird Box demon monsters were supposed to be like these like giant baby looking things with sharp teeth or beaks or something, and people saw them, they just killed themselves, which makes less sense than mysteriously seeing something and killing yourself. If I saw a giant baby with a bunch of sharp teeth, I'd just run away from it.
Yeah, same.
I wouldn't just kill
they were
myself.
Like demons that were
like
just
put forth some effort. But this one apparently, so like the government suspects terrorist activity, and they're like, well, we can't eliminate, all these countries from developing some kind of what do you call it? When it's chemicals.
Chemical weapon?
I guess it's a chemical attack. And so they're like, well, we don't know. And it kind of develops biochemical, you're right. It kind of develops like, okay, well, let's get on the train and move out of this area. Because the attacks are actually limited to the Northeast. And so you just want to like get out of that area. Everyone, let's see, it's Mark Wahlberg, scientist, teacher, Mark Wahlberg, his non-wife, Zoe Deschanel, his friend, John Leguizamo, and his wife, jumping on a train, getting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And John Leguizamo's wife isn't answering her phone, which immediately she's dead. But there's some really nice imagery in this movie, which is, horrible, but well shot, where the construction workers on a roof of a building, are just like dropping like fly, like literally just throwing themselves off. It's pretty creepy. There's also one where in the park, a cop was like, everybody calm down. And when the virus or whatever hits them, they turn around and they all face the same direction. And they either start walking backwards or they start, or they just sit still. And this cop starts moving backwards and he takes out his gun, shoots himself. The gun falls on the ground. Here comes somebody else. They take the gun. They shoot themselves. Gun falls on the ground. Here comes someone else. They take the gun. And it just keeps going and it stops eventually, like cuts to another scene. But I thought that was pretty like haunting.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's freaky. When I saw that, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, and even the like, so Mark Wahlberg and company, they end up on a train. They go to some place and the train stops for no reason. And the train operators are like, Mark Wahlberg is, for whatever reason, the only one that goes and talks to them. And he's like, hey guys, what's going on? Why isn't the train moving? And they're like, yeah, we lost contact with everybody. It's like, well, okay, come on. Like, why can't the train just keep moving? But, okay, so he's like, okay. He's like, well, he goes back to his group and he's like, we're stuck here. It's a 90-mile walk to the next town. And it's just, it gets kind of annoying how inconvenient everything is. So they start going to another town and he gets 2 kids killed because they're at what looks like an abandoned house, but they don't want anybody around there. So these hillbillies shoot 2 kids that are trying to get in.
I kind of remember that too, actually.
Yeah, I think
It's starting to come back.
I think they stay with like a little family.
No, they not a family. They stay with an old lady.
There you go.
Who she doesn't want anybody there. So, Mark Wahlberg starts with this theory that maybe it's when there's a lot of people together, that's when the virus attacks. So these people, like, they stay in a group. And the old lady's like, you can stay out back in the shack that I have. But then she goes crazy and the virus attacks her when she's by herself. And she shoves herself through a window and gets cut up. I guess killing her?
I think
no, go ahead.
I think she dies.
I don't remember.
Yeah, she does die because she doesn't come back.
I remember there was like a creepy scene where there was like a grass cutter or something.
Oh yeah, and then the guy lays down.
Oh my gosh.
That was pretty bad,
I was like, what the heck? That is twisted. Ugh.
Yeah, it's either Zoe Deschanel who ends up dying or Mark Wahlberg. I remember at the end. Spoiler. Because I remember I wanted them both to live, and I don't think they do. I don't think both of them do.
They do.
They do live.
Yeah. With the little girl.
Oh. I don't know what I'm thinking of then. Okay.
You wish these characters died.
I guess I wish they died, but they
Um, but yeah, in the process of all this, they meet this crazy plant guy who's like, he's got a greenhouse and he's growing plants. And he's like talking to the plants, and they think he's crazy because he's talking to the plants. And he's like, talking to plants stimulates growth. And they're like, okay, Mr. Plant Man. Like, they give each other crazy looks. And it turns out he's like completely right.
Oh, yeah. And the plants are angry at people, right?
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed was that when they get to the plant guy's house, there's like two huge, like, Simpson-style, like, smokestacks giving off, like, nuclear radiation or whatever. Like, just smoke coming out of them. And what's in that smoke? Nobody knows. And, but yeah, there are, what was that?
Were they like mushroom clouds, or?
There was just, like, yeah, pretty much. Like, it was just, like, pouring out of them. Like, they were still running. And maybe that's how they were getting their power and their water and stuff, you know, but
Oh.
when this kind of shit happens, like, people blame anything that's around them, basically. But I thought that was a nice, some nice imagery of, like, it kept signaling towards, like, nature's paying us back. And then you see that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's what the movie's about. It comes to a point where they go to Crazy Plant Man's house, and Mark Wahlberg's in there, and he's like, oh no, they go to the old lady's house, and Mark Wahlberg goes to a plant, and he's like, I'm so sorry, please, we're just here to stay for a minute. And he touches the leaves, and he's like, you're a fake plant. I'm talking to a plastic plant. And I'm still doing it. And I was like, okay, well, that's funny.
Yeah, they did put some humor in there with him.
Yeah. I just don't like his humor because he, like, raises his voice to an octave to where I guess he thinks he's being funny, but he doesn't have to. He just sounds weird. I don't know if it's just me. But so eventually, like, it all stops and everyone's okay. And then 3 months later, I think it's France. And in French, they're saying, like, it's the same thing that happened at the beginning, where it's like in a park and everyone stops moving and they start moving backwards or talking weird. And so it's happening again in a different part of the world. But here's my question. So every time there's wind, they run away from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plants don't control the wind.
You think maybe it's because the wind moves something in the plants?
Well, I think
no, that's what they were saying was like, it's like spores in the movie. They're saying it's like spores or seeds or pollen that the plants are
creating.
Yeah, they're creating it, and they evolve in an attempt to protect themselves. So if there's no wind, then there's no way to spread it. But if they do spread it, there has to be wind. And unless there's some weird contract with the plants and the wind,
Yeah, I think it may have been. That's a good point, actually. I guess in general, when I had saw it too, I was just thinking in general nature. Just
Like, is it all in conjunction?
yeah, that's what I was. That's my impression of it.
Hmm.
But I see what you're saying though too. I mean, because maybe weren't like for instance, you could even use like the clouds. You could use the sky then, to flood or to
Hmm.
rain down acid or as well. But yeah, I see what you're saying now. Actually, it's kind of a plot hole there.
A little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
It's not terribly harmful. It's just
This one I see is available on Prime. If anyone wants.
yeah. If anyone wants to see it, it's like $2.
I think this one's free on Prime.
Oh, is it free?
Yeah, if anyone does have Prime, yeah.
Yeah. If anyone has Prime, watch this movie that was like bulldozed when it came out, and now it's just like, just watch it. Like it's not a horrible movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess critics gave it were hard on it, but I mean it did well in the box office, it looks like, and
Well, I wouldn't even say it's like a horrible movie. I would say it's even got like an emotional spine to it that I didn't mention between Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel.
mm,
It's got a nice little, like, I guess it's a love story that needs to be resolved.
mm-hmm.
And it is resolved um, by the end of the movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you gotta have some kind of emotional spine to a movie.
I wouldn't mind checking.
And yeah, I would check it out. It's really not bad. It's a good movie.
This one's
But it's also a bad movie. But it's also a good movie.
This one's interesting too because Wikipedia describes it as an apocalyptic thriller.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I was thinking during the movie, I was like, when is this going to spread across the United States? And it didn't. It stayed in the Northeast.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like some widespread thing where we had to nuke something. It was just isolated to the Northeast. So, and then at the end, it, of course, crossed over to France.
I think I really liked the characters they picked.
The characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fine.
Mark or John Louisiana?
Yeah, I like.
No, he was
him in movies.
fine in the movie, really. I felt really bad for the daughter. And then for him, like, he had a tragic death where, spoilers, the group he was with, where he separated from Mark Wahlberg, that group was going to go back to Philadelphia and search for their families. And so he goes with them to find his wife, but instead, the virus hits them while they're driving, and the driver purposely runs into a tree. So he comes out. I think everyone in the car is dead. But he picks up a piece of glass and starts slitting his wrists, and that's where the scene ends.
Oh yeah.
So it's a very sad scene.
Yeah, and I think they almost made it, but it's like the kind of car they were in, like a Jeep.
They were in a Jeep, yeah.
And it had like the canvas kind of material.
The cover, yeah.
And there was like a small itty bitty hole in it.
Yeah, that it was coming in.
I was like, dang it. They almost made it.
Almost.
Well, all right.
Yeah,
I guess I guess that wraps it up. That's 5 movies.
4?
was it 5?
It was 5 because we talked about the Purge 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about the same time. So
Well, I want to talk about one more.
you do?
A little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'll just
Oh,
say.
I thought you only.
I'll just say one thing. Watch Unfriended: The Dark Web if you haven't seen it, and if you're very cynical, just watch it anyway because it's really fucked up. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Where is it streaming anywhere?
Prime.
It's on Prime too. Is it free?
It's on Prime. No, but it's cheap.
Oh, okay.
So watch some of that. Tell me afterwards that you're not afraid of the internet, and I will give you $5.
Oh, wow.
Or Johnny will. Johnny will give you $5.
Well, I guess we gotta watch it now. I need $5.
And then Johnny will vote for Donald Trump.
Hey, Mike, you make more money than me, man.
That's true because of my side business, which we're not supposed to talk about.
So Mike will pay you the $5.
But it's because of John.
$5 from each of his jobs.
All right, so let us know what you think of the movies in the comments. Let us know if you agree with us or disagree with us on any of these movies. And if you're watching anything this Halloween during this season, let us know too. And if we should check anything out as well. So
it's the absolute best time for movies, especially ones that are very under the radar. So just let us know. Those of you who listen to us, yeah.
Well, thanks, Abby, for joining us too on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome.
And all right, so this is Film Juice. We'll see you next time.
All right, thank you for listening.